Mike Muse is an industrial engineer, a music executive, a political architect. He breaks down the intersection of politics and pop culture. This is the Mike Muse Show.
What's up, bro? It's your boy, Mike Muse. Welcome to the conversation, the Mike Muse Show. I am so excited to be in conversation with you all. Happy Memorial Day weekend. It's officially summer, although it does not feel like summer in most parts of the country. On Friday morning, I was wearing a sweater with a flannel shirt underneath my sweater on Friday. But so, yeah, definitely a chilly start to the summer weekend. But it's all good. I'm not complaining. I still love this weather. Folks, let's just get into it. What an incredible week we have had. An incredible week I have had. I had the chance within 24 hours to see Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce back to back. I wanted to see Kendrick Lamar's concert in Los Angeles. I just thought it was going to be something special to see him in his hometown doing his thing. And the energy in SoFi Stadium was freaking electric. Seeing this hometown hero of Los Angeles be so well received. People were so hyped. It was great to see Los Angeles respond to him the way that they did. I believe the proper terminology is Los Angelinos. And so it was great to see the Angelinos in the house and in the building. We had so much fun. I encourage you all to see the show if you're able, if Kendrick is coming to your town. And if he is coming to your town, make sure you get there early and in time for DJ Mustard's set. I want to assume that DJ Mustard is going to be at every tour stop, but I am not 100% sure, so don't quote me. But he was able to get the party rocking in the beginning before the concert started and really put us all in a really great mood. And when Kendrick comes out, it's just something special. He is pushing the boundaries of hip-hop to ways that we haven't seen before from a live performance perspective. The creativity, the staging, his use of the stage. Most of the time, most rappers just stand in one spot and kind of just rock back and forth. But Kendrick Lamar used the entire aspect of his stage. It was very theatrical, had great presentation, and most importantly, he rapped every single word and had incredible breath control. And he is not doing what I hate what artists do, is turn the microphone to the audience. Homie, I'm not paying all this money for me to sing along with you and sing karaoke and to help carry this concert. You need to do this heavy lifting yourself, my guy. And so that is sometimes my biggest pet peeve that I have with not just rappers, but a lot of you lazy pop stars and singers too as well. You have a habit of doing that, and that just drives me crazy. It's a mark of a lazy artist, but it was so well put together. I love the fact that he had Lauren Halsey, this incredible Los Angeles artist who I'm obsessed with for a lot of his background images. Super dope concert. Got on the plane the next morning, first flight out, and headed back home to New York City to watch Beyonce. Wow. I mean, do I need to say anything? If you have not had the opportunity to see Beyonce in concert, again, I highly encourage you to find a way to get to one of her tour stops so you can watch her. You know, quiet as kept. I don't know how many more concerts Beyonce has in her left at this level. I think we're looking at peak Beyonce. And I don't mean that in a negative way or meaning that she's going to be on any downward trend anytime soon. But I've been saying that I think I've been to every tour of hers. And I think that this is my favorite tour of hers. She is so at ease. I think we start seeing her being at ease at the Renaissance tour, but there's something in her. She's very relaxed in her own skin. She's very comfortable. She said the last tour, she has nothing to prove, which is true. Her artistry is incredible. I know a lot of people can hate on her, which still blows my mind. Don't even get me going about that. But I think that if you just go see her, if you're not a fan of hers, if you don't really like the music, if you don't like cowboy country music, if you don't like Cowboy Carter, all good. Definitely, though, just go. Like, you owe it to yourself to see a concert performed at this level. I feel bad I've had the privilege since I've been a kid with my family to see some incredible performances from Prince to Janet Jackson. I mean, I'm talking as a kid. And so I've seen the greats, and I've seen what a great concert is. And I've also seen a lot of bad concerts. And I feel bad for some people who have seen nothing but bad concerts and have yet to see an experience when an artist can give you a full production. When an artist can give you a full production, man, there's nothing like it. If you ever seen a Janet Jackson concert before, a Beyonce concert is on a level of 10. And no, I'm not comparing these two women. I'm not putting women against women. I'm definitely not putting a black woman against a black woman. I believe that they all inspire each other. And I think that a lot of Beyonce's concert, the baseline of it is a lot of Janet Jackson and a lot of Tina Turner. So it's if Tina Turner and Janet Jackson could have a baby, it would be literally Beyonce. And I think that's what it is. I think there's nothing wrong with like standing on the shoulders of legends and giants who paved the way, with Little Prince mixed in too as well. and obviously with the showmanship of Michael Jackson. So that's what you get with the Beyonce concert. But I saw it and it was incredible. She's so at ease. This concert is stripped down, but still very, very big, which I'm really, really excited and was happy that I was there. I can definitely tell my grandkids, like, yo, I saw Beyonce in New York City and Kendrick Lamar in less than 24 hours. But listen, there is so much that we need to talk about. I have to give acknowledgement to the NBA. I mean, the NBA right now is fan-freaking-tastic, as I have said previously. I didn't call it early on in the beginning, but I definitely thought that OKC was going to go far, and I thought they would be in the finals. And they are dominating right now, this Western Conference Finals. They're definitely going to, and I'm calling it now, they're going to be in the finals. And I think that whoever they end up playing, it is going to be difficult to beat OKC. I'll just say it like that. The Indiana and New York game series is going to be good, but I just think the winner is going to come from the West. I just do. But obviously Indiana's playing great ball. The Knicks are playing great ball too as well. But I just think that SGA, he's just MVP, baby. He's just hitting his stride. But listen, Halliburton is special. The Indiana Pacers, they weren't supposed to make it this far. The Knicks weren't supposed to make it this far. They have momentum on their side, both teams. So I don't know, but I definitely think that it's going to be OKC. Obviously, I'm in New York City, so I would like to see New York, although I don't front. You guys know this too as well. New York Knicks are not my team, but, hometown, I don't root against them. But that Indiana team, they're fascinating to watch in the postseason. Let me tell you, I have a newfound respect for them. Okay, enough of all that. We have so much to get to. But let me know your thoughts so far on Kendrick, Beyonce, the NBA. Who you rocking with? Are you going to the concerts? Have you seen the concert? What's your thoughts? Hit me up at I am Mike Muse, MUSNZAME on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Let's start with the urgent and escalating confrontation between the Trump administration and Harvard University. This past week, we saw a rare and swift move by U.S. District Judge Allison Burroughs, who issued a temporary restraining order to block the Department of Homeland Security from revoking Harvard's certification to enroll international students. I can't believe I'm having to say this in 2025. This goes beyond political ideology and partisanship. This just goes to something that speaks to something bigger and larger, and it makes me uncomfortable in where we are. I'll expound more on that in my thoughts in a minute when it comes to that. But it came after the administration abruptly announced the cancellation of Harvard's participation in the Student in Exchange Visitors Program, essentially revoking its legal authority to admit foreign students. I just need for you to think about that. Every university has an international student population. I don't care. We keep giving diversity, equity, and inclusion such a bad term, and it couldn't be furthest from the truth. But the wonderful thing about having a diverse college campus is not monolithic. You don't want to learn at a university with 10,000 students who all come from Lansing, Michigan, and that's where I'm coming from. Using that as an example, all studying engineering, which I studied. Right? Like, who wants to go to a college like that? What are you gonna learn? Right? That's not what you want. College is more than just about being book smart in academics. It's a big part of it. I don't want to take that away, obviously, right? But it's about learning self, and it's also like learning from each other, right? And what better place than to learn from other parts of Americans who come from different parts of the country, and then also to learn from people who come from different parts of the world, who has a different worldview, and all that helps shape each other when you're on a college campus. And the fact that we are getting to this place is just asinine. There's no polite way for me to say it, because there's a lot going to be at stake now by revoking these foreign students. If the judge wouldn't have blocked it, roughly 6,800 students. That's nearly 27%. Love some data. I got to make sure I have these data numbers for you. 27% of Harvard's total enrollment, many of whom pay full tuition. Harvard quickly filed a lawsuit accusing the administration of retaliation, not policy, for what it called the university's refusal to comply with politically motivated demands. These demands, folks, let's just get into what these demands that the administration is calling for, which is sweeping requirements for faculty monitoring, protest surveillance, and data submission tied to perceived ideological leanings. The Trump administration, led by DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, justified the move by accusing Harvard of fostering an unsafe campus environment, one that supposedly harbored anti-American and anti-Semitic sentiment, and allegedly enabled foreign interference. Whether you agree or not with the administration's framing, the targeting of a university for ideological reasons touches a nerve in our democracy, and it touches a nerve in me. But before I do that, I want to take a moment to unpack, the principles of academic freedom. That's a big part of education and freedom of thought, right? And to be free thinkers. Though the term, I just want to clarify a couple of points here, because I keep hearing this tossed around a lot. The term academic freedom does not explicitly appear in the United States Constitution, so I'm going to make sure you guys are all equipped with that information. It is rooted in the First Amendment's guarantee of free speech and expression. Courts have long interpreted these protections to include faculty speech and institutional autonomy, especially when it comes to teaching, right? When it comes to research, and when it comes to public commentary. Academic freedom enables scholars to pursue truth without fear of censorship or retribution, even if their findings or teachings challenges prevailing political or social norms. That's what you want. That's a part of scholarship. That's the point of research, right? It's to question. It's to challenge. Even in religion, speaking of Beyonce, Jay-Z has this line there. He says, question religion, question everything. And I say this pretty often. Questioning religion has made me actually more spiritual. It has made me much more a believer in God and a higher power, in the Trinity, right? Because sometimes when you question things, some things just can't be answered. And as a result, I'm like, that's faith, right? I'm not going to preach. But the point being, challenging social norms, political norms. Challenging political norms, that's our democracy. Harvard's case emphasizes this. It asserts the administration's actions are punitive, aimed at forcing the university to shape its curriculum and governance to government preferences. This is not just about Harvard, folks. It's really about whether our universities can remain these places and bastions of independent thought, especially when those ideas diverge from current political power structures. I just can't emphasize that part enough, about the idea of the independence of it. But now, beyond student visas and academic principles, this has enormous financial ramifications. The Trump administration has already frozen billions in federal research funds, roughly $2 billion previously, with another $3 billion potentially at risk. Harvard is one of the top recipients of federal research grants across science, medicine, and technology. Think about that. Think about losing access to international students. It's not about enrollment. It shrinks your talent pool, especially in research-heavy departments where graduate students, many of them international, hate to break it to you. I know everybody wants to be America first, which is, I've always said asinine. Sorry I'm using such strong language today, but this is just shocking. A lot of international students play a critical role in labs and publications and breakthrough. But this isn't just a Harvard problem. Other institutions like Stanford, Yale, public universities like my alma mater, Michigan, and Berkeley are watching closely. What happens here could signal the beginning of a broader federal effort to suppress academic institutions seen as an ideologically non-compliant, right? And just really quickly, I just talked about the money here, and this idea of endowments, just user endowments. I'm going to talk about that too in a second, but this idea of endowments. These schools have $1 billion in endowments, and they should be able to use it as a stopgap measure. That's just not true. I said this before here on the Mike Muse Show, and I'll keep saying it again. The challenge with not being able to tap into endowments, all the schools' endowments, is that a lot of those endowments are earmarked for specific things. And so I have created 2 endowments from the University of Michigan. So they're very specifically targeted. But for example, endowment could be something as simple as I want to give this scholarship to a student who is from Anchorage, Alaska, who wants to major in agricultural science with an emphasis on growing greener grass that will be planted in Lansing, Michigan, right? That type of specific scholarship. That's just an example I'm using. That's what I've given the money towards. Not me personally, but as an example. So that money is already earmarked. That money is earmarked for that specific designation. So you can't touch that, right? That can't be used to build a new building. That can't be used for medical research. That can't be used for hiring staff, right? And so just want to make sure I put that out. I want to pivot to another thing that we saw that happened this week was the massive legislation moving through Congress, officially named the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Try and say that with a straight face. Passed by House Republicans, this bill is a sweeping tax and spending package that touches nearly every aspect of American life. It's over 1,000 pages, folks. It includes some highlights: a permanent extension of the 2017 Trump tax cuts. Also included in there are new tax breaks on tip income, auto loans, child tax credits, and health savings accounts. Also, to the creation of Trump accounts. That's where $1,000 of government funded saving accounts for newborns. And yes, a resurrection of debates over the SALT deduction, SALT, now raised to a $40,000 cap. But here's where it gets more complicated. To pay for these benefits, mostly tilted towards upper-income Americans, the bill slashes over $1 trillion from social safety nets, right? We're talking Medicare, we're talking Medicaid, we're talking food stamps. Let's look at Medicaid, for example. The bill proposes nearly $700 billion in cuts, including instituting work requirements by 2026. And that may sound like accountability to some, but experts warn that even people who already work or are medically exempt could lose benefits due to reporting red tape. The Congressional Budget Office, commonly referred as CBO, estimates over 10 million people could lose coverage, with 7.6 million going entirely uninsured, folks. Yeah, Medicare, here's where the math really bites, because this bill adds over $2.3 trillion to the national debt. It triggers automatic spending cuts under a rule known as sequestration, which could result in $500 billion in Medicare cuts over 10 years. That includes funding for hospitals, looking at you, rural communities in red states, nursing homes, and doctor reimbursement. In addition, SNAP and food stamps. This bill imposes stricter work requirements, expands age thresholds, and caps state funding contributions. All changes that could impact over 11 million people, including families with children. Right? Local grocers are warning that these cuts would just affect the poor, but they could ripple through local economies and small businesses. Now, let's get honest about fiscal discipline. All right? I'm sure you saw that coming. This bill increases the federal deficit by $3.3 trillion over 10 years. That's on top of an existing national debt of over $36 trillion. Traditionally, conservatives have prided themselves on balancing budgets and reducing deficits, but this bill doubles down on deficit finance tax cuts while simultaneously cutting programs that serve the vulnerable. It's not that deficit spending is new, but what's new is the scale and the rhetoric. The justifications offered here rest more on political identity when you think about it than on policy coherence. And that's when it gets dangerous, folks. But obviously, there's always a next. So what is next? The bill now heads to the Senate, where leaders like the Majority Leader John Thune and Finance Chair Mike Crapo are working on their version. It's expected to face significant revisions, as you can imagine. I'm really curious to see how they're going to look at Medicare and Medicaid. You have people like Senator Susan Collins and Senator Lisa Murkowski are already objecting to the Medicaid provisions. Meanwhile, the reconciliation process, which bypasses filibusters, will be limited by the Byrd Rule, which excludes non-budgetary items. So I'm going to make sure I put that there. Right. And then there's the political calculus. Republicans need nearly full unity. I repeat, full unity, and any changes will have to be reconciled with the House, which already has a slim majority, and this passed literally along party lines. A single defection could derail the entire package. Bottom line, the bill has a path, and it's not a smooth one. I'm not confident at all that how we see this bill currently being structured will be the bill that goes back to the House after the Senate. I just don't believe the Senate will allow a lot of this to go forward. As a result, I don't believe that the Republicans will get on board with whatever the Senate comes down the pipeline. So as we head into Memorial Day weekend, folks, let's remember the principles that, should guide us. This weekend is all about honoring sacrifice. It's about recognizing the values of democracy and freedom and service that generations before us fought to protect. That includes freedom of thought, right? That includes a government that serves of all its people, not just the powerful. That includes economic fairness, intellectual independence, and compassion. The debates in Washington, whether about international students, whether it's about federal funding or food access, are more than policy. They're about our identity as a nation, right? So I am wishing you and your family peace and reflection and gratitude this Memorial Day weekend, which has been a time-honored tradition to celebrate and honor and mourn the U.S. military personnel who died while serving in the armed forces. So just want to say salute. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Have a great time. Throw something on the grill for me. Let me know your thoughts on everything at I am Mike Muse, M-U-S-N Sam E on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. And I thought this would be a good time to run back the warfare town hall I did with these incredible individuals who were part of the SEAL 6 team to really give honor to our military. And sidebar, if you guys are not watching the Osama bin Laden manhunt on Netflix, you are playing yourself. Watch that immediately this weekend and let me know your thoughts, right? I am Mike Muse, M-U-S-N Sam E. Stay right there. Be right back on the other side.